you all, it's Jenny here, and I'm coming with an update because I had this time that wasn't booked today, which is why yesterday was kind of 3 days, but I saw that this slot didn't get booked, so I thought I'll just push it one more day. And I was hoping to have more good news to share by today. I don't know. Things are just moving a little slowlier. Whoa. Things are moving more slowly than they usually do for me on this. So um, it is what it is. Still doing all right in terms of my overall attitude about it. I'm not getting myself too frustrated over it. And I'm not feeling terribly deprived yet. I'm, like turning down a lot of things that I really want and that if I weren't on this diet, I would definitely be eating. And so I just look at that like, good, good. Even if the numbers going down aren't what I like them, if I ate all the things that I know I consciously said, I can't have that, I can't have that, and some of the things that really, really even tempt me, where I'm like, well, if I have one little cheat this week. And by little cheat, I mean it is a big cheat because really the little cheats I kind of do every day by eating a little bit of corn in my salad, which you're not supposed to do. I did get the keto strips. I didn't get the keto strips. I have keto strips from a while ago. And I was wondering how the corn may be affecting ketones and if I'm in ketosis or not. And so I went ahead and used those, and I definitely am in the high end of ketones, so that's good. The first time I did it was probably like 5 days ago, maybe 5 or 6 days ago, and I couldn't, the color strip on the grid, I could actually see it matching both. I'm like, oh yeah, that matches. Oh no, that matches too. Wait, that matches. I don't know. Why do they look the same? They look like two different shades, and yet when I take the one and I try to match it, it looks like it could match both of them. I guess that means it's in the middle. But now it's at the higher end, so it isn't affecting me that much in terms of staying in ketosis, which I do believe is a big part of why we are doing the no carb on this diet. So I feel good about that. I feel like I'm on track in terms of generally speaking what I'm eating. We ran out of all the proteins and chicken and everything out of the house the other day. My husband brought home some ground turkey, and we kind of made our own taco seasoning to go along with it because we realized we ran out of taco seasoning too. So I just sort of looked up if you make your own taco seasoning, it's really good. Not as spicy as it normally would be, but it also didn't have any of the gluten or the little bit of flour that may be mixed in with some of the seasoning. So I did that, and I ate it with a big bed of lettuce yesterday. Um, and ended up cheating a little bit. I feel like every time I do one of these videos, it's right after I've had a cheat too. I swear you think I do it every single day, and I don't every single day, but I do more than I should. And my cheat yesterday was I was standing around in the kitchen. I had a class in the evening, and then I had like a half an hour free before I had my last class. And I went down, and my daughter was in the kitchen, so I was asking her about her day at the vet clinic and talking all about the pets. My husband was down there, and we were all just chit chatting, and I was kind of straightening up the kitchen. My husband was helping straighten up the kitchen as we were talking, and then I just had that urge just hanging out in the kitchen to eat something as everybody else was eating food, and I went and I grabbed this little baggie of peanuts. Now I had I get my peanuts from Costco, so it's in the big can, but I emptied out the can the other day to kind of just get it out of the pantry, and what was left, to get rid of the crumbs too, I kind of scooped them out and put them in a little baggie. And so I sat there and I ate. Now, it's not like it was a whole sandwich bag full. I mean, it probably wasn't even one of those little half sandwich bags full. But it was enough at the bottom that was probably larger than a handful, so more than I should have eaten. Um, so those are fats that you're not supposed to be putting into your body. And I did. Um, so I don't know. Maybe that's I mean, all those little things I think are just adding up for me. But I'm not, surprisingly not too terribly discouraged by it yet. Not happy, but not like, ugh, it doesn't work anymore. So since the last time I saw you, it's been 4 days, and I have lost, I, I haven't even lost a pound. Uh, I've lost point 0.8. Yeah, point 0.8. But then again, here's another reason why I'm not too discouraged. One, the numbers are going down. They're going down very slowly, but they are going down every day a little bit. Two, I am starting to feel a little bit of, and maybe it's just less water um, retention, but I'm starting to feel a little bit more like smaller calves. When I shave my legs, I feel like, oh, my calves are finally starting to go down a little bit. And a little bit in my face because my face kind of bloats up when I gain a lot of weight. I have a round, larger face to begin with, so when I am eating as I shouldn't be and putting on weight, my face is what also, I guess not everyone's face gets bigger, but a lot of people's do. Okay, I just feel an overall sense of kind of starting to go down. And as we talked about it before, different people gain weight and show weight on their bodies in different ways. Some people will always have a thin face and a thin neck, no matter how large their body gets. If they had a headshot, they always look like they weigh the same amount of weight. Not me. You can see it in my face when I gain and lose. And you can see it everywhere else. Some people, it's really almost all in their gut. It's just like they get a big belly, they go down. I had a girlfriend that I was convinced, it was a coworker really. I was convinced she was pregnant, but I didn't know her well enough to say anything, and nobody was talking about it. But she had like these skinny legs and skinny arms, and she was tall, and she had this huge belly. I mean, she looked exactly like, and like pregnant, like she was 8 months pregnant. She wasn't, I figured out. But some people just carry it all there. And we all carry it differently, right? What I do when I gain weight, I slowly gain it everywhere. My fingers, my toes, I mean, everywhere. Every part of my body slowly gets larger. And then when I lose, every part of my body slowly gets smaller. So it's a dispersion of weight. And when I'm at my lightest and thinnest, I like it because I feel like I can have like 3 or 4 days of eating terribly in a row. Don't notice it at all. I look exactly the same. Here's the downside of that. It's creeping up and I don't notice it because it's so insignificant, kind of dispersed everywhere. And before I know it, I get on the scale and go, I weigh what? And then I look in the mirror and I go, what is that ball doing in the mirror? It used to be like this, now it's completely like this. Everywhere is just sort of like the Michelin guy. The other downside of that is that when I'm losing, it shows slower. I don't see the exact results because it's kind of losing everywhere at one time, and so it's smaller increments of noticing that something's happening. Once I cross that wall, though, of like, oh, I can see it, the motivation really kicks in, and then I get really excited. And I feel like I'm just tipping my toe over the edge of reaching that part where, like what I say, when I shave my calves, I'm like, huh, I think they're a little bit smaller. And I feel like when I'm washing my face that my face is starting to go back a little bit from the puffiness that it had before. All right. I really should put all this chit chat at the very end. I really should. I'm sorry. I can't help myself. So it is what it is. Okay. Hopefully, by the next time I talk to you, it'll be much better. I will have to stop at 21 days this time because I have, maybe it's even shy of 21 days, but I am going down to the Amish country as I often do, but I'm not doing I'm kind of scrapbooking. My sister and I are just going down there and just staying in somebody's home that's severely disinfected. It's an Amish young couple that has a home where they live in the top part and then they rent out the little apartment down below, little 2-bedroom apartment down below. So we are going to bring some food with us. So that'll be okay that I can kind of bring my own food, but I know she also wants to eat in the Amish country. She doesn't go as often as I do. I'm there twice a year for doing my retreats, so I get the joy of eating that delicious food, but I know she's going to want to go out and do some other meals. So this is going to be the end of losing, at least for a few days. I might just jump back on the bandwagon. We're just spending 2 nights there. So we'll see how that all affects me, but I see that on the horizon, and maybe that's another reason that I'm just sort of like, I'm not losing much each day, but I'm losing. I'm more than 10 pounds down from where I was before I started this. No, I'm not. Why did I say 10? I'm more than 5 pounds down than where I was before I started this. Now I'm 12 days in, so I should be 6 pounds down. But for my own numbers, because I normally use a half a pound a day, but we'll see. And then next time I meet with you, my numbers might also be lower because it has been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days now since I've had a bowel movement. And that's going to affect the scale too. Yesterday at day 5, I took a mild laxative to no avail. But I'm hoping I find if I go too long before taking one on this diet that I get really constipated. I just need it. And I drink a lot. Trust me, my husband almost makes fun of me. And then I even worry about myself. And I'm like, I'm not diabetic, am I? I mean, I drink a lot. But I kind of have my whole life. But I drink. So I'm having enough water, which is what you really need to do to keep things going. And it's still really not. So I do believe that in these past, since I've spoken to you last time, because it had been 2 days before my last video since I've had one, and now it's been 6 days. So that has got to help my numbers when the magic day arrives, whatever it may be. If nothing happens today, tomorrow I might take one more mild laxative, just hoping that it all kind of works with my system. We'll see. Okay, today we are going back to the protocol and talking about other reasons that may cause obesity. And okay, this one's a little bit longer. Sorry, the whole intro was long too. But the second one is, okay, I'm going to see if I can pronounce this correctly, diacephalic disorders. Okay, and diacephalic, as I was reading before, I was just substituting the word hypothalamus for it because I thought those words were interchangeable. I did a little bit of research and found out that the diaphalactic center of your brain is actually your hypothalamus, your thalamus, and your cerebellum. So I really shouldn't be substituting the words, or I just want to put a disclaimer out there because I'm still going to say hypothalamus because it's such a difficult word for me to say and I have to slow down so much and sound it out, and there's a PH that makes the F sound, and like it's all one of those crazy words. So in essence, the part of the diacephalic system that we're talking about is the hypothalamus, because we know that the cerebellum just controls like balance in your body. It's like part of movement and balance. And the thalamus is more, what is the thalamus? I'm like remembering back to my behavioral neurology class. Let me see if I can click online. What does the thalamus do? But I don't think it's not anything that, let me see if I also have, oh, your alertness, like your sleep cycle and how alert you are, and your consciousness. So that's the thalamus. So that doesn't really come into play with dieting. Then there's the hypothalamus, which regulates so many functions in your body, including all of your hormones and your hunger and all of that. So this is really the center we're talking about. So I am going to substitute hypothalamus because it's easier for me to say, and that's really what we're talking about. So that is the only alteration I'm going to make to reading this protocol to you. Here we go. I'm going to start. All right. The second way in which obesity can become established is the lowering of a previously normal fat banking capacity owing to some other hypothalamic disorder. It seems to be a general rule that when one of the many hypothalamic centers is particularly overtaxed, it tries to increase its capacity at the expense of other centers. In menopause and after castration, the hormones previously produced in the sex glands no longer circulate in the body. In the presence of normally functioning sex glands, their hormones act as a brake on the secretion of the sex gland stimulating hormones or the anterior pituitary, which is also in that same area. Okay. The light above here is like shining in my eyes today for some reason. I must have hit it and tilted it. It's blinding me. All right. When the brake is removed, the anterior pituitary enormously increases its output of these sex gland stimulating hormones, though they are now no longer effective. In the absence of any response from the non-functioning or missing sex glands, there is nothing to stop the anterior pituitary from producing more and more of these hormones. This situation causes an excessive strain on the hypothalamic center, which controls the function of the anterior pituitary. In order to cope with this additional burden, the center appears to draw more and more energy away from other centers, such as those concerned with emotional stability, the blood circulation, hot flashes, and other autonomous nervous regulations, particularly also from the not so vitally important fat bank. The so-called stable type of diabetes involves the hypothalamus blood sugar regulating center. The hypothalamus tries to meet this abnormal load by switching energy destined for the fat bank over to sugar regulating center, to the sugar regulating center, which the result of that, the fat banking capacity is reduced to the point at which it is forced to establish a fixed deposit and thus initiate the disorder that we call obesity. In this case, one would have to consider the diabetes the primary cause of obesity. But it is also possible that the process is reversed in the sense that the deficient or overworked fat center draws energy from the sugar center, in which case the obesity would be the cause of that type of diabetes, in which the pancreas is not primarily involved. Finally, it is conceivable that in Cushing's syndrome, those symptoms which resemble obesity are entirely due to the withdrawal of energy from the hypothalamic fat bank in order to make it available to the highly disturbed center which governs the anterior pituitary adrenal cortical system. That's a mouthful. Whether obesity is caused by a marked inherited deficiency of the fat center or by some entirely different hypothalamic regulatory disorder, its insurgence obviously has nothing to do with overeating, and in either case, obesity is certain to develop regardless of dietary restrictions. In these cases, any enforced food deficit is made up from essential fat reserves and normal structural fat, much to the disadvantage of the patient's general health. All right. So, all in all, basically what they are saying is that it may not be you, boo. Sometimes we just have these things that are in our bodies that make us burn, gain, store fat in different ways. Again, we're all different. And these are some specific areas that they're talking about, deficits and issues that have to deal with our hypothalamus and the regulating of all of these systems. And they even used an example that if you have one of these situations and you're reserving how much food you're taking in, that it might go to the center of fat. Remember, there's three areas that we store fat. It might go to the fat storing area that actually cushions all your organs, which is fat that we need in our bodies for the good functioning and regulating of our organs and our body. I mean, we don't need an excess amount of it, but we need some around there. And if it goes and it takes away the fat that is needed as this protective part, then that's not good for your overall general health. All right, so that was um, a lot of crazy information, and maybe more than you wanted me to read, but I'm really interested in reading everything directly from the protocol and then letting you take that information and interpret it. Because some of you are medical professionals, and that will mean a lot more to you than other people do. In the end, know that our hypothalamus in our brain is at work. And I have heard people, and I've said this numerous times on my channel, refer to the resetting of your hypothalamus. And part of this diet, by taking the HCG, what you're doing is you are doing a restrictive calorie intake. So your body needs to burn fuel somehow to function. So where it normally would go to possibly some, not your fat reserves of like extra fat, but it'll go to another fat bank. The HCG helps it direct it right to your extra fat storage, and it uses that fat for energy. Um, and then the other thing that I have read is that hypothalamus also, because it regulates things, it's a regulatory system, that it's used to keeping your weight at a certain amount. And so once you lose, if you can maintain that loss, this is where I struggle. If you can maintain that loss for a significant period of time, I'm talking months, um, then that hypothalamus will reset in your brain and it'll see it as your new normal, and you will get fuller faster, and you will not store that extra stuff that you have before. The sun is coming out, or maybe it's going behind a cloud because all of a sudden the light changed here, but the lights didn't change in my room. Um, okay, that's all I have for today. I hope that was helpful a little bit for you. I'll be back in a few days and give you some more numbers, and hopefully they're good ones. I hope yours are all good numbers. Stay with it, and I hope that you found that informative today and not boring. I'll try to be more exciting and interesting next time. Talk to you soon. Bye.